We was 3 kilometers high. We just break the clouds. It was beautiful looking on the clouds. It was like when you see nice ocean. Ja som urobil veľkú hanbu práve v republike, že nestražili nás hranice. A to nezabudli mi, no.
In September 1983, Czechoslovak cycling champion Robert Hutyra decided to flee communist Czechoslovakia in a homemade hot air balloon. He took with him his wife, 2 children, some money and a bicycle. This was all that the Hutyras managed to take from their past life and fit into a metal basket with an area of less than 1 square metre.
A oni nadziejemi swobody slunce prší z oblaku. Před soudruzy les zaslíbenou zemi, kde už není pánu ani žebráku.
In 1948, Czechoslovakia had closed its borders. Attempts to escape from the country were not uncommon, but not many succeeded. In the early days, the border could be crossed by land. Those who dared would flee through swamps or forests with children in their arms and managed to cross into Austria or West Germany. But every year the fugitives had to be more and more inventive. They fled from Czechoslovakia in trains, in trucks, and even in DIY tanks. And with each escape attempt, the border control became tighter. By the time the Hutyras decided to flee, their chances of success were severely limited.
Obecně bylo téměř nemožné překročit státní hranici. Úspěšnost pohraniční stráže je zadržení přes 98 až 99%.
Posadit tam svou manželku, svý dvě děti, ty nejdražší bytosti, co měl, svěřit se tomu balónu a ještě riskovat, že na ně někdo bude střílet. To byla obrovská odvaha, obrovská touha po svobodě.
Robert byl vlastně příkladem něčeho, co málo lidí může udělat.
This is a gathering of Czechoslovak and international cycling legends. The people with whom Hutyra used to compete are gathered here, and now, after a youth competition, they'll race themselves. Hutyra would like to join them, but he cannot. Just recently, Hutyra suffered a stroke, which affected his physical condition and his speech. All these people were witnesses to his victories. Hutyra was a Czechoslovak national champion. He won international competitions from Poland to England, from Mexico to Canada. But for this successful athlete, everything changed in 1970. Hutyra was about to travel to a competition in Canada. Everything was ready for the trip. The day before his departure, when Hutyra returned home, his wife handed him an envelope. It was a letter from the Central Committee of the Czechoslovak Association of Physical Culture and Sports.
Tak som ho otvoril, tam bolo napísané, že proste mám odovzdať pas a letenku, že môj zájazd sa ruší a že vyrozumenie dostanem písomne. Dvakrát som to prečítal, jedný. Tak hovorím, kde je kufor? Zbalil som kufor.
Hutyra said goodbye to his family and went to the airport. It was impossible for him not to go. A 6-month contract and a lot of money were waiting for him in Canada. Now his only hope was that, owing to bureaucracy, his name had not yet been added to the list of people barred from travelling abroad. With his heart pumping, Hutyra tried to appear calm.
Keď som dával pas, tak tedy nebolo počítač, otvoril tento Hutyra. Hovorím, tam určite som napísal, nebol som.
Hutyra boarded the plane, but only sighed with relief when the pilot announced that the plane had entered Canadian airspace. But this was just a temporary respite. The 6 months passed quickly. The time came to return to his family. In Czechoslovakia, Hutyra faced danger and possibly even prison. But the peloton fox, as his peers used to call him, had a simple plan.
Hned na hranice ma ako odstavili na pouze, brali a vyšetrovali, prečo som porušil. Ja som neporušil. Ja som nepodpísal tento list. Manželka nepovedala mi to. Takže som zase z toho vykľúčkoval.
They only took away Hutyra's passport. He was allowed to go home. But from this moment, he was under constant scrutiny by the secret police, the STB. They viewed him as a potential agent. Hutyra was at the peak of his physical condition. He continued to train, but without a passport, his path to international competitions was closed. He attempted repeatedly to regain permission to leave the country, but without success. Then, the STB offered him a way out.
Ja som bol skoro týden trénovaný za špiona. No, proste prišli za mnou, že by radi so mnou mluvili, lebo chcel som ísť ďalší rok do Kanady, oni mi zametli, že mi povolia, ale budem pracovať pre nich.
Kamil Hacapka, Hutyra's coach and later the coach of the Hungarian and Mexican cycling teams, was also forced to cooperate with the STB.
Taký zvláštny zošit A4 formátu, to každý pozná, to dostal každý, nelen cyklistika. Každý, kto bol vedúci, toto dostal. Posledná strana bolo styk s československými občanmi žijícimi v zahraničí. Tam som vždy napísal presne, kto za nami prišiel. To som jasne napísal. Pretože si predstavte, že máte polovicu pretekárov, policajtov, polovicu vojakov a títo všetci boli inštruovaní, jak sa majú chovať v zahraničí, koho majú a jak sledovať, tak v prvej rade mňa, samozrejme, ako vedúceho.
Hutyra decided to refuse the STB offer.
No a to zase, víte, zase povedať takým inštitúciám ne, to nie je dobré. Tak som prišiel potom povedal, viete čo, už nezavodím, viete, končí so zavodením. A to už zase tak diplomaticky, na to sa nedalo povedať, že je protištátny, alebo nechce splniť záujmy štátu. Ne? Tak toto som končil cyklistikou.
A career in cycling was not the only thing he had to sacrifice. Now considered unreliable by the Communist Party, his family was unable to get better housing, and their daughter could not go to grammar school.
Well, her father is, she will be same way. Director from the school, Robert could look at her, I can take her.
Kdo se znepřátel tomu režimu nebo nějakým způsobem nefungoval tak, jak měl, tak jednou z těch věcí, které se dali perzekovat obyčejné lidi, bylo to, že dětem se nedovolilo studovat. Oni nemohli studovat ani střední školu, natož vysokou školu, takže končili jako dělníci.
Ať žije Sbor národní bezpečnosti, ať žijí dělnické milice, ať žije ozbrojený lid hájící svou republiku před zpátečníky a rozvratníky.
The lack of personal freedom was suffocating for Hutyra. Increasingly, he thought about the world beyond the Iron Curtain. He did not suffer any financial problems. With a good job as a builder and the money earned in Canada, he built a house and bought a car. But at some point, he realized that society and the people around him had changed.
Co vám vadilo nejvíc, jako proč?
Správanie ľudí. Víte, tie malé drobné veci niekedy vrtajú v hlave vám dlho. Veľká ne, zabudnete na to, lebo nemôžete to ovplyvniť. Ale tie malé proste, nemôžem to ovplyvniť, tak idem odtiaľ preč. Dôvod.
Here the tired riders had little help from a friend to keep their cool. But the convincing overall winner was 35-year-old Jiří Manis from Czechoslovakia, who gave his country its first ever win in this event.
Jiří Majnus emigrated from Czechoslovakia during the same period as Hutyra. He had a brilliant career as a coach and later as a sports official in the United States. His impressions about the country he left behind match Hutyra's in many respects.
People were more careful to say something, first of all. They've been more pessimistic than optimistic. Like a lot of negative things happening here at the time. You know, people like lost appetite to live. Economically, everything was coming down also, you know. So it was like the time when people been trying to work hard, but they didn't go to anywhere.
Hutyra decided to run away, but how? He could not leave in any legal way. An attempt to cross the land border with his wife and young children was out of the question. The border was locked tight. The answer came by itself. In Bratislava, where the Hutyras lived at the time, it was possible to watch TV channels from neighbouring Austria. There are only a few kilometres to the border. Turning on Austrian TV's evening news, Hutyra saw a report about a German family who fled from East to West Berlin in a hot air balloon. From this moment, all he cared about was how to make a balloon. But there was one difficulty. Hutyra had never seen one with his own eyes. At the time, they simply did not exist in Czechoslovakia. Hutyra became a frequent visitor to the library. He studied physics and the movement of air masses. He had to act with the utmost discretion. The slightest carelessness might disrupt the escape and lead to prison. At the same time as Hutyra, Aleš Kubíček was also working on a balloon, but he was pursuing completely different goals. Kubíček was a member of the Aviatic Aeronautics Club in the city of Brno, and he wanted to create the first balloon in the country's history. Kubíček worked openly with a team of enthusiasts, yet he completed his balloon just a few months before Hutyra's flight.
A někdy v průběhu léta se na Slovensku na nějaké balonové akci s Robertem Hutyrou potkali a Robert Hutyra se ho vyptával na nějaké věci kolem hořáku, se kterými měl zřejmě problémy.
Hutyra had problems not only with the burner, but also with the fabric for the balloon. It had to be an elastic, strong and lightweight fabric that did not allow air to pass through, and he needed a lot of it.
Zistil som, že je fabrika, kde to vyrábajú. Oni mali ako tú predajňu, svoju predajňu. Tak som tam išiel, som povedal, mal som fingovanú objednávku ako stilistického dielu. A hovorí, koľko potrebujete? Ja hovorím, potrebujem minimálne 300 metrov, ako bežný. On hovorí, nač toľko potrebujete? Viete, co my máme? A musí byť černá alebo tmavá. Máme kajakársky oddiel pri Bratislave a vidíte, na tých kajakách, kde toho majú farebná, tak im to ťahá oči. A tá černá tá hovorí, to ma nikdy nenapadlo. A pak, keď som prišiel ešte raz, tak hovorí, vás tam musí byť jak hádov. No.
These days, it takes 15 to 17 people to make one balloon. They have computer modelling, industrial sewing machines and hundreds of other professional tools at their disposal. A new hot air balloon costs tens of thousands of dollars. Hutyra's balloon cost him the price of a new car, and his team consisted only of his wife, who had to sew the balloon at night on an ordinary sewing machine. Hutyra worked on the design.
Dneska ten balon šijeme za pár desítek hodin, ale tehdy to musely být stovky a stovky hodin. Patří panu Hutyrovi můj obdiv, že tohle dokázal udělat doma v bytě na kufříkovým šicím stroji. To je skvělý výkon.
On the second attempt, the Hutyras made a balloon that could get off the ground. Now, they just had to choose a place and time to launch their escape. Wind direction played a decisive role in this. They had to wait 2 months for favourable conditions.
Yeah, I just call every day to the airport what kind of wind is. I say, why? Because we have a cyclist and we just go to the training. Oh, just told me over, that's fine. What kind of wind? I need north or west north. They say, well, no. And one day just say, okay, 2 days will be northwest.
Hutyra decided to fly from southern Moravia, a wine-making region in what's now the Czech Republic, located on the border with Austria. This is the building of a former checkpoint, which used to house a garrison of Czechoslovak border guards. Hutyra's balloon flew by just a few hundred metres from here. Now, one part of the building is empty, the other hosts the Iron Curtain Museum. Black crosses on the walls commemorate unsuccessful escape attempts that proved fatal.
Mrtvých na hranicích jsou stovky, to je zdokumentováno. V průběhu těch desítek let se ta železná opona vyvíjela a v podstatě se dá říct, že to byl soubor opatření, který měl zamezit volnému pohybu osob na tom hraničním pásmu. Některé části toho oplocení měly v sobě několik tisíc voltů, kdy v podstatě ten, kdo se k tomu přiblížil, případně se toho dotkl, tak dostal tak vysokou ránu, že v podstatě na místě uhořel. Ten systém byl ale následně změněn, dokonce některé úseky státní hranice byly i zaminovány. Ani jeden ze 100 nedokázal přes tu oponu násilnou formou přejít.
All that Hutyra and his family needed was to get across this road. Tourists and locals now use to cross the border between Austria and the Czech Republic without thinking twice. They decided to fly on September the 7th, 1983. On the evening before, he transported the balloon to the launch site in his Volkswagen Beetle. It was somewhere here in this field where corn now grows, on the outskirts of the village of Božice.
Then before I just removed my car seat, I just put back, and day before I just go over there. Already I know. I just take over there place, put a balloon, put the branches, and next day I just came just only with car, remove from over there, and that's it.
They decided to start at 11 o'clock in the evening. The sky was cloudy, the family squeezed into the basket. The balloon itself, with impressive dimensions, 20 metres high and about 17 metres wide, was already swaying over their heads. In a few minutes, during the very takeoff, the first difficulty occurred.
Yeah, that was my mistake. But it was not a big mistake. Because first I have it 4. One for feeling hard air inside on the ground. Second, flying. Third one for flying. And 4 for landing. And I was so good. I was so exciting. I just put everything. I just cut the rope. And I forget. And there was about 500 meters and no more heart. No more fire.
During the descent, the basket caught on a branch and got stuck. The branch was like an anchor, but Hutyra managed to plug in the cylinder and release the balloon. Now they were ascending rapidly.
We was 3 kilometers high. We just break the clouds, and it was beautiful looking on the clouds. It was like when you see nice ocean. It was like this one, these clouds. That was beautiful. Everybody was looking. Say nothing. That was nice, very nice.
But as they approached the border, the clouds dispersed. The border guards noticed the light from the gas burner. A flare lit up the sky. At any second, they could start shooting. Hutyra had planned for a moment like this, but all he had been able to try to do to protect his family's lives was install a thick steel plate on the bottom of the basket. Luckily, the border guards never opened fire. About 50 minutes after liftoff, Hutyra realised that they were flying over Austrian territory.
Czechoslovakia was dark villages, and the Austrian side was gasoline station, big lights everywhere, street, because I know they were living there. I was not exactly where I am.
But then the balloon began to spin. The wind was changing. The family could be carried back behind the Iron Curtain. They needed to get down immediately. There was no choice. Experienced balloonists have a rule: never descend at night. Darkness can hide the most unpredictable dangers.
Everybody say we will start at night, but never landing at night. We was lucky. We were lucky because I don't know this place. I know the place around Bratislava.
In the quiet Austrian town of Falkenstein, which lies next to the remains of an ancient castle, winemaker Matthias Pessau was working late that night. He had just started repairs on his house. Suddenly, a hiss came from the window. Pessau thought it was a snake, but the sound became louder and more distinct. He went outside.
Ja, es war für mich unverständlich. Ich hatte einen Heißluftballon in unserer Gegend nie gesehen.
Hutyra's balloon swept past the castle ruins and he fell right into these vineyards, crashing into one of the trellis poles. From the impact, all the passengers were thrown out of the basket. Miraculously, none of them were injured. Pessau was the first on the landing site. When he started asking questions in German, it was clear to Hutyra that they had succeeded.
Ich habe mir schon Gedanken darüber gemacht, denn der Ballonflug war ja doch eine gefährliche Angelegenheit. Wie ein Familienvater so weit kommt, dass er seine Kinder und seine Frau in den Ballon nimmt und diese gefährliche Überfahrt riskiert. Es müssen schon sehr, sehr schlechte Zeiten gewesen sein.
From Austria, the fugitives travelled further, crossing the ocean and settling in Colorado in the United States. The local press wrote of them as celebrities. President Ronald Reagan sent them personal congratulations. Hutyra did not resume his sporting career, instead starting a construction company. 25 years later, the family returned to the land from which they had once fled. Hutyra built this 5-story house in the spa town of Luhačovice, 100 kilometers from the Austrian border. 2 apartments on the top floor now belong to the Hutyras. They live here to this day. After this conversation, Hutyra invites us to his favourite dance club, where he's a frequent guest. He says he likes it here because people get together to enjoy life, instead of complaining about it.
Well, they say, help yourself and God will help you, not another side. That's my life theory in Forks.
Ciao, ciao. Dobranoc.